Awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Start U of G session. My name is Jenny, and I'm part of the START team, who is going to be helping you prepare this summer for arriving to our University of Guelph campus in the fall. I'd like to begin our session today with a land acknowledgement. So it's with great respect that the START team acknowledges that the University of Guelph resides on the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples and on the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize today that this is a gathering home for all First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples, and that today we're tuning into this session, possibly from around the world, around the province, or from around Canada and all the different places, but it is this land in the University of Guelph that really does ground us. So today, we also encourage all of you to view our land acknowledgement website, which we'll be posting in the chat, because it's incredibly important to understand why we do these land acknowledgements here at U of G and why it's important to understand what traditional territories you are on. So today we are going to start off with helping you learn how to select courses at U of G. So this is really one of the first things that you folks will be doing starting in July, and we'll talk more about the specific dates in just a moment. We have Matt from Enrolment Services here. We have Sarah, who is a program counselor, and we have C and Jen from Student Experience, who are here to let you know all the different things that you need to consider and think about when looking at selecting your courses. And as a new university student, we recognize that this might be a little bit stressful, or you not be used to using our platforms and tools, but that's why you folks are all here today. There is a question and answer feature of the session, so feel free to pop your questions in the chat on the Q&A piece. Please note that all the questions are anonymous, so please don't go putting any personal information or divulging anything too relevant to your own person, just because we are actually hoping to answer questions more generally. But if you do have a question that's really specific to your situation, you're more than welcome to email start@uofguelph.ca, and we'll get that answered for you. So our overview for today, we are going to look through some common terms for course selection, and we're going to review all the things that are needed for course selection. We'll go through common terms. We'll talk about some of the platforms and resources available to you throughout the course selection process, such as how to use WebAdvisor, the registration guide for new students. We will also learn how to navigate the WebAdvisor platform, and we'll also talk about some academic advising resources available to you as well. And then at the end, we'll go over some frequently asked questions and important dates and deadlines. But like I said, if you have any questions about the session as we get started, please pop them in the question and answer chat, and we're happy to answer them. So course selection is very important date and deadline. And for most folks, it will be happening in July. So new students who did not receive any credits with their admission, so it means you have 0 credits going in. So if you are directly from high school, you didn't receive any IB credits, or you are a non-transfer student, if you have 0 credits at admission, you will select your courses on July 3rd, July 4th, or July 5th. So as you can see up on the screen right now, it is based on your program. So your course selection window will open depending on your program date. So you can see those listed there. We're also going to post in the chat the website for our course selection windows, so you're able to look at that as well. It's recommended that you pick courses as soon as possible because courses do fill up quickly. And it's really important to also note that you're going to be selecting your courses just for the fall. You'll select your winter courses sometime in November. There's a few tips on the screen here that are really helpful to remember. So thinking about planning ahead. So you can now log into WebAdvisor and start playing around with your schedule. And we'll talk about the difference between planning and what registering looks like. Remember to be flexible, so some courses fill up quickly. So be ready with a couple different versions of your schedule for some second and third choices. Be ready and logged into WebAdvisor before 8 a.m. on your morning. The longer you leave course selection, the more sections that will be filled. So it really is recommended you register as soon as you can. And then lastly, know that you may not get all 5 courses in one swoop, and that course selection does go right until September. So it is important to be patient with the system and keep checking, but we'll give you more information there. So now I'm going to pass it over to Matt from Enrolment Services, who is going to chat with us a bit about some common definitions and some important language when it comes to course selection.
Thanks, Jenny. Hi, everybody. My name's Matt. I work in Enrollment Services here in the Registrar's Office. We thought you're going to be talking to people and hearing what we call things all the time, and you may or may not be familiar. So some of these common terms in course selection are really just meant to be general, so you have a sense of what someone else might be talking about if you're asking a question. So as Jenny just mentioned, the course selection windows are in place. They're done intentionally by numbers of students and how our system can handle it. So if you're wondering, hey, why is my degree on a certain day and my friend's degree on a different day? There's a lot that goes into that, but it does indicate when students are able to register for your courses, as Jenny had said, based on your program. So just pay attention to that. And that is why first years and some upper year students are split by program. We talk about credits a lot. So at the university, you'll hear courses and credits, but credits is a lot of the way we talk about courses here. So pretty much, especially in first year, you're going to find most courses are 0.5 credits. There are some that are worth 0.25 or some that are worth 1 credit. So that will impact how many classes you will pick or courses you will pick based on your credits, which we're going to get into in the next couple of points. But we kind of talk back and forth, courses, credits, classes. So you might hear that kind of more often, mixed in. But tied to that, when I talked about credits, is if you're thinking about what is considered part-time versus what is considered full-time, typically a part-time load would be 1.75 credits or less, which in most cases, as I just said, with courses being 0.5, is typically 3 classes or less. Full-time studies, on the other hand, is typically when students are in 2 credits or more. And again, in first year, this is generally speaking 4 courses. And then 5 classes would be 2.5. Again, just to go back to the point one more time, if you do have a 1 credit course, you're not expected to take more classes. You're expected to take within 2 or 2.5 credits for full-time and 1.75 or less for part-time. So it's just understanding the blending of how that kind of fits together. When we talk about electives, so this can vary based on your degree program. So some degree programs will be very specific about things like liberal educational electives, social science electives, arts electives, restricted electives, or just plain electives. The easiest way to kind of explain where this is going to fit in for you is these are typically going to be courses that are not required courses for your chosen or declared major or a minor or a secondary of specialization. In something like the Bachelor of Arts program, for example, you do need to have arts electives, but do you need to have them in your first semester? No. So a lot of times in the BA program, for example, they'll just be called electives. But in some of the other areas like a Bachelor of Science, they will say a liberal elective, but they will also define what that is on their web pages. So you can find more information, but just when you're hearing people say elective, in most cases, it's courses that are not required for you within your chosen specializations. Flip to the next slide here. So the couple more things to note, you'll hear people potentially talk about the undergraduate calendar and thinking that this is potentially something that looks like a calendar, which is not the case. This is basically the overall online book that explains everything from policies, procedures. There's a glossary of terms. There is information about every major, minor, specialization, course descriptions, as well as information about, of course, dates and things like that. I will say this whole undergraduate calendar is an important document. However, when you're finding in first year, what do I need to maybe find quicker? I would say most students are looking for programs and course descriptions, which you can find in the menu if you go to the undergraduate calendar or even search that on the website. You'll all be following, if you're a brand new student, you'll be following the 24-25 calendar, which is what's noted as the current calendar on the website. Every year we update things, and it basically just know at this point that you're following the current 2024-2025. If you have questions later, once you're here in upper years about changing a calendar, that is not something you need to worry about today. Within the calendar, there is a schedule of dates, and what this is a listing of really all the important dates organized by semester. Of course, summer 24 is when we kind of start the calendar, fall 24, and then winter 2025. It says winter 24 there, which you can search, but you might be looking for winter 2025, and you can already find that. So even as a really random example, and you're thinking of planning a trip next April, and you want to see when the exams are scheduled, you can already see that online on the schedule of dates, which is in the calendar. And lastly, the last kind of definition thing I'm going to talk about is WebAdvisor. So you're going to hear WebAdvisor this, WebAdvisor that, go to WebAdvisor. This is going to be the student system that you're going to use the whole time you're here. So course selection is one piece that is used within WebAdvisor to select your courses, plan, register. There's a way that you can view your progress within your program, within the student evaluation, including seeing your required courses. This is also where you can check your tuition bill. And when you get to this point, you will also be able to use WebAdvisor to apply for graduation when you're ready to do that. So you will hear WebAdvisor, but it's not just for course selection. That's where you're going to probably get an introduction to it in the coming weeks. But what you'll find is if you play around in there and take a look at some of the menu items down the left-hand side, you'll be able to really see what else is covered within that system. So one other important document that we publish each year is really the registration guide for new students, which has the link right there on the page. And again, you can search for any of these things. Just go to the homepage and search for them. The new student registration guide is set up on purpose with information that is set for first years, first semester. So if you are a BBRM student, you can go right into degree programs, find BBRM, and it will give you a sense of what to look for your fall, for your first semester course-wise, what things to kind of plan for. There's information in there as well, just more generally about policies. Financial pieces are in there, international pieces are in there as well. So the actual guide itself, we try to be very direct that it has a lot of information, but it is quite tied to fall, and to try to give you as much kind of benefit and information to kind of get you set up for starting in September. So as I said, I'll just finish this piece and then I think we're going to lead into a couple of videos for you. But just again, the WebAdvisor tool is basically going to be that main platform here at Guelph where you're doing all this work, selecting your courses, tracking your progress, accessing financial information. So you can see there that there is course selection information that can also be found at the student planning website. That's part of the main homepage. But I think I'll turn it over in a second here, but we're just going to play a couple of videos for you that can help you potentially understand WebAdvisor a bit more.
Okay.
Welcome to the Student Planning Informational Series for the University of Guelph, Ridgetown Campus, and University of Guelph-Hamburg. Student Planning is a self-serve system available to all U of G, Ridgetown, and Guelph-Hamburg students who are actively enrolled in a program. It combines optional degree planning with intuitive course search tools and registration in a new, easy-to-navigate online environment. To assist both new and returning students, a series of training videos has been developed to help guide you through the most common features of student planning. In this video, we will cover how to create a course plan. Creating a plan of your degree allows you to take a proactive step in ensuring all your degree requirements are covered without any surprising setbacks that may hinder your graduation. This can be done by planning current and future semesters based on previous terms. You create a plan by adding the desired courses to a course plan. It is important to understand you have not registered for these courses, but rather you plan to register for the course in the term you have added the planned course to. You are not obligated to register for a planned course, nor are you billed for the planned course until you register. You can add, remove, or move planned courses into any path that you want.
To get started, go to WebAdvisor and click on the Access WebAdvisor button. Enter your central login username and password if you are not yet signed in. Then, select Student Planning.
This brings us to the Planning Overview page. At a glance, you will find a variety of features which may be helpful in planning your degree. Such features include your overall cumulative average, your approximate overall progress towards your degree completion, and your program and major if applicable. Additional majors, minors, and areas of specialization are not displayed here. This page also shows your current semester's timetable. Lectures for registered courses are represented in green, and labs and seminars are shown in purple. Planned courses are shown in yellow. Don't forget to register for your planned courses. For students on the Guelph campus, final exams will also show in this timetable in blue once the schedule has been posted. Distance education courses that do not have scheduled lectures, labs, or seminars will be listed below the table. Because exams are generally spread out over multiple weeks, and this schedule only shows a single week, you may see overlap in your exams. We recommend going to the Plan Your Degree and Register for Classes page for full exam details. Aside from the helpful information, this page has two main options. 1. View your progress, and 2. Plan your degree and register for classes. For this video, we will be focusing on the first option, View your progress, as this is where the most powerful planning features are located. The My Progress page shows all the degree requirements for your program, including up-to-date information about what requirements have been completed, what requirements remain, and what requirements are currently planned. Scrolling down on this page, you will find more in-depth requirements related to the types of courses that must be completed and the number of credits for each one. On the My Progress page, there are key course search and planning features available within the requirements section. To plan for courses in bulk, scroll down to a requirement looking for courses that have a status of not started. For this section, click on the Search button towards the top. This performs a custom search, loading only the courses listed under that requirement section. To add an unplanned course, simply click on the Add Course to Plan button. Once you are done, you can view all updated changes by clicking on Back to My Progress towards the top left of the page. To plan for a single course at a time, scroll down to a requirement that has several unplanned courses and click on the course code of a desired unplanned course. By clicking the course code, this will perform a custom search with results only for that course. You can add this course to your plan by clicking the Add Course to Plan button. Once you have planned your required courses, you can search and plan electives and make modifications based on your major, minor, specialization, or overall progression. We recommend that you review the schedule of studies or program requirements for your program in the academic calendar to ensure your plan meets all the requirements for completing your degree. From the Plan and Schedule page, you can navigate among terms using the arrows on the left-hand side. To receive a greater view of your degree, click the Timeline tab. The timeline displays completed courses, in-progress courses, and courses that you planned in the future for each term you add to the view. Here, you can easily rearrange your planned courses by term using the drag and drop feature. You can move any course that you have not completed or have not registered for. Please note that most courses are not offered every term. If you drag a course into a term that it is not usually offered in, a message will appear below the course title. If a course is missing a prerequisite, a warning message will also appear below the course title. It is the student's responsibility to ensure that prerequisites are planned accordingly to avoid scheduling complications in future terms. To add more terms to your plan, simply press the Add a Term button and select the desired term. If you wish to discard a course or an entire term, hit the X located next to each one. To discard all planned courses, hit the Remove Planned Courses button. You can register for courses if you are within the course enrollment period for one of the terms. Watch our video about registering for more details. You can also print your planned schedule using the Print button on the Plan and Schedule page. We hope that you are now familiar with how to create a course plan using student planning. Watch our other student planning videos for more information about degree planning and course enrollment at the University of Guelph, Ridgetown campus, and University of Guelph-Humber. If you have any questions, visit your campus's student planning website. For Guelph and Ridgetown campuses, please visit uoguelph.ca/student planning. And for the Guelph-Humber campus, please visit guelphumber.ca/student planning. Welcome to the Student Planning Informational Series for the University of Guelph. Welcome to the Student Planning Informational Series for the University of Guelph, Ridgetown campus, and University of Guelph-Humber. Student planning is a self-serve system available to all U of G, Ridgetown, and Guelph-Humber students who are actively enrolled in a program. It combines optional degree planning with intuitive course search tools and registration in a new, easy-to-navigate online environment. To assist both new and returning students, a series of training videos has been developed to help guide you through the most common features of student planning. In this video, we will cover how to register for courses using student planning. For information about when you can register for courses, visit your campus's course selection webpage.
To get started, go to WebAdvisor and click on the Access WebAdvisor button. Enter your central login username and password if you are not yet signed in. Expand the menu on the left-hand side and select Academics. Under Student Planning, click on Plan, Schedule, Register, and Drop.
This brings you to the Plan and Schedule page. By default, this will load the current plan and course registration of the current semester. To view and register for another term, please use the navigation arrows to navigate to the desired term. For this example, we wish to register for courses for the upcoming fall 2021 semester. To register for a course or section must have already been added to the term plan. If this has not already been done, you can use the convenient search option towards the top right. Please refer to the video Finding Courses. Once the course or section has been added to your term plan, you can register for the course. There are two ways to do this. 1. Register by an individual course at a time, or 2. Register for all courses at once. First, we will look at how to register for a single course. To do this, you must find the individual course section that fits your schedule. All course sections of a planned course will show as yellow in the timetable. This includes their lecture, lab, and seminar times. In the panel on the left, you can view details about the available sections, such as the number of seats available, times, location, instructor, etc., by clicking and expanding the View Other Sections on the course of interest. Note that hovering over a specific section will make that section bold in the timetable on the right. The timetable is useful for determining whether multiple courses are scheduled for the same time. If the lecture, lab, or seminar of a course section overlaps with another, both courses will show as red in the timetable. You will also receive a warning message if you try to register for overlapping courses. If you are a Guelph campus student and you are making changes to your registration after the final exam schedule has been posted on WebAdvisor, you also need to make sure there is not a direct final exam conflict. The final exam schedule is usually posted about a month before the semester begins. Final exams will show on the timetable in blue. Please keep in mind that the timetable represents a single week and your final exams may be spread over multiple weeks. You may see overlap of exams that are actually taking place on separate weeks. To ensure that there is not a final exam conflict, click on the print button above the timetable for full exam details for your registered courses. To add a desired section to your timetable, click on the section. This will open the section details, and you may add the section by clicking the Add Section button towards the bottom right. The timetable to the right will be updated, and the status of adding the section will be displayed from the notifications. If there are any errors or issues with adding the course section, it will be displayed here. Now that the desired section has been added to your term plan, you can register for the course. To do so, click on the Register button for the course section. Again, the timetable to the right will be updated, and a status message will be displayed in the notifications. You have registered for a course. The lecture for the registered course will now show in green, and if the course has a lab or seminar, it will show in purple. A distance education course without scheduled lectures, labs, or seminars will be noted below the timetable in green. You may prefer to plan and add all your sections at once before registering. This is recommended as it reduces time to add and remove registered courses that may cause a conflict. In such scenarios, you may find it useful to register for all your courses at once. You can register for all courses currently added to your term plan by clicking on the Register Now button towards the top right. You have now registered for all your term courses. Note that if any courses have an issue, for example, missing prerequisites or course conflicts, etc., an error message will be provided. You will still be registered in the remaining error-free courses. If you would like to remove a planned course from your schedule, click the X beside the course name in the left panel, and then click the Remove button in the pop-up window to confirm. We hope that you are now familiar with how to register for courses using student planning. Watch our other student planning videos for more information about degree planning and course enrollment at the University of Guelph, Ridgetown campus, and University of Guelph-Humber. If you have any questions, visit your campus's student planning website. For Guelph and Ridgetown campuses, please visit uoguelph.ca/student planning. And for the Guelph-Humber campus, please visit guelphumber.ca/student planning.
We're now going to welcome Sarah onto our screen to talk a little bit about some of the academic advising resources here at U of G. Sarah, I think you're just on mute.
I am muted. I apologize. I was just entering it and answer 1 second. Perfect. Okay, hi everybody. Just closing the chat there. My name's Sarah Bradley, and I'm the program counselor for the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences degree program, as well as for the Bachelor of Creative Arts Health and Wellness program. But I have some obviously general knowledge of how to get advising on campus and what you might use a program counselor for in your 4 years. So a program counselor does a lot of things similarly to what your guidance counselor would do in high school. So that's probably the most similar comparison. So why would a student go see a program counselor? A lot of students that I meet with are having troubles with course selection or have specific questions about course selection, such as perhaps a class from their major and their minor overlaps and they want some guidance on which should be prioritized or perhaps questions like that. They also might meet with us in their upper years to help us plan out how to plan their courses to go on exchange. Again, that would be in 3rd or 4th year. Or if a student were to need deferrals or any sort of academic consideration around final exams, that's something that program counselors would be assisting with as well. But a big thing that I would recommend, because especially this time of year, we notice a lot of first-year students will, of course, through a learning curve, will email and think they can talk to someone same day, and that can be quite challenging within the rules that we have, especially with the volume that comes with course selection. So one thing I would prepare before connecting is to look up your major or minor or whatever you're looking into in the academic calendar before you come. A lot of the questions that we do get are answered in the academic calendar. So I saw the student ask that in the question, like, what exactly is the function of the academic calendar? I thought that was a really good question. So I know that, as an example, a student just asked also what the restrictive electives were for food science. And I looked up food science in the academic calendar and I scrolled down and there's a list that says restricted electives and lists about 12 classes. So a lot of your answers are in the academic calendar, and definitely before reaching out to a program counselor, booking a meeting, or panicking. I know in course selection, when students don't have answers, sometimes their first initial is I need to meet with someone immediately. I think that if you can look it up in the academic calendar, making sure you're on the 2024-2025 academic calendar. Maybe someone can drop that in the communication for them, the 2024-2025 calendar, where it links them to the degree programs. That would be a great thing to save in your favorites tab. So I know when I meet with students, sometimes if they have their computer, I do it right while they're or have them do it while I'm watching, is saving that into your favorites tab. If you want to save your major or your minor, those can be great things to have too. That way you have quick access to them over the next 4 years, because truly the academic calendar is going to list exactly what classes, what semester they're offered, what the prereqs are, and that can be a really good thing to review before you do meet with your program counselor. And then how to find the program counselor information. There is a website that I wanted to drop to you folks as well that lists all the program counselor's contact information. Perhaps someone can link that in the chat as well. That's where you would find all the program counselor contact information. Every office is different. Some offices allow you to book a meeting through their websites. Other offices prefer you send an email first. So I would reach out via email at this time of year, again, because of the volume, and they'd be able to book a meeting for you or answer your question in writing. A big thing I recommend, especially a learning curve for first year students, is email from your @uofguelph.ca email. If you are emailing requesting like specific information about what courses you're enrolled in or anything of that, and you email from a Hotmail account, we will email back and ask that you email from your uofguelph.ca account. Just because we don't want to share any personal information with someone who is not like confirmed to be like one of our students. And then I would recommend always to share your first and last name and your student ID. That way it's the quickest way that we can look you folks up. And then I would recommend writing what your question is. So if your question is something really specific, like you're concerned about a certain stats course and wondering about a different stats course, like that's something you can answer super quickly. If the question's more complex, write it out and we'll respond and say, let's book a meeting. So, but it's helpful for program counselors to know like what sort of assistance you're looking for, rather than just emailing, hey, can I have a meeting? And we're like, who is this? What's their student ID? We can't find them in the system. Like, what's their question? So that's definitely something I would recommend. Look it up in the academic calendar ahead of time, and then making sure with communication to identify yourself and use your @uofguelph.ca email. Faculty advisors are a little bit more specific. Matt, you can challenge me on this thought, but I think a lot of our students don't deal with faculty advisors maybe until upper years. They deal with a lot of like content specific questions. So an example might be that just like comes to mind is if a student were originally in Soc and then switched to Psych and they took different stats, like they might talk to a faculty advisor about something like that. We do have a lot of the stats subs memorized, I will say. So Matt, maybe that wasn't a great example. But one that I know a lot of our students do is when they're looking for substitutions in content, they deal with faculty advisors quite a bit. So they might reach out to the English faculty advisor and say, hey, I took this linguistics course or this creative writing course, and it sounds pretty similar to this English course. I was wondering if that could be a substitution. Faculty advisors are the curriculum experts and would be the ones that would be able to make that final call. They're also really great when you're in your upper years, especially third and fourth year, if you're looking into like research opportunities in that area or looking to do field work in that area. They really are the ones that are experts in that niche subject area, and they can be good to connect with for those really specific questions. And there's also a page that lists all the faculty advisor information as well. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that, Matt, or clarifications for faculty advisors?
No, I don't, but I just posed a question if you wanted to talk about this. You know some of the courses more than I do.
I haven't seen the question yet. 1 second.
So there's a lot of questions in the chat just about courses being full, which at this point they aren't, but
yes,
it may
I
appear
saw
that they are.
Yes, I saw that, and I saw you and I both said something similar on one of the students. Okay, so kind of funny, and I actually don't have a great answer of like why everyone manages things slightly differently, but I will share that I know a lot of the science classes do this quite a bit. It sounds like Management 1000 is doing this right now as well, but they haven't released seats yet, so they might look like they're full, but they actually don't have very many students in them at all, and they will open a whole whack of seats right before course selection opens. So if you are, as an example, a BCom student, I can say pretty confidently, and Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, that if you're a BCom student, you're going to get into Management 1000 if you select now. Like if you select August 30th, they might say, you left it really late, the class is full, but the BCom students are going to get access to those courses, and they're going to open up a whole bunch of seats right before course selection. They're just withholding them so they don't fill with upper year students using them as electives or that sort of thing. A lot of the science courses, I think Chem 40's done it right now as well, that it looks full, even though it's actually not. They're going to open 1,000 seats right before course selection happens. And then on that example as well, like if you're a Bachelor of Science student and you have that, I need biochem, physics, math, like you're going to get access to those courses. I love to preface though, it might not be in 20 minutes on the morning of July 3rd or whatever your day is. I think managing that expectation can really reduce anxiety. I know that some students will not get in their first 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they've left 10 voicemails on 10 different offices' phones, and they've emailed and parents have emailed. And I know that can be so stressful. So for yourself, know that you are going to get access to those seats. There's rolling enrollment where they're adding seats here and there. They're getting temp checks of what students are getting into. And there's also restrictions where they may, I know that psych's this way right now. The in-person psych is held for BA psych majors until July 15th. And on July 15th, they're going to release it to be open to non-psych majors. So just knowing that, like, if you on the morning of your course selection get 2, 3, 4 classes and you're still waiting on the 1, 2, 3 that have been restricted, that they're going to come, they're going to open. It's good to educate yourself. It doesn't hurt to reach out if you do wonder why. There are websites as well that will explain exactly what the restriction is or when that restriction will be lifted. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to a program counselor, and we may be able to link you to the right thing. You can also look it up on the website as well. And often if you face a restriction, it will tell you what the restriction is, like it's being held for majors currently as an example. I had a student in the chat ask, feeling like all the electives that they were interested in weren't open to BCom students and what they should do. That's a really great example. And I know that like BCom students or BSc students that are looking for their one elective, often as an example, like those electives to be in the arts area. But on the flip side, it's the same for art students. Like they're trying to get their major courses first. They might want a minor in biology or minor in BCom, but they will not get first dibs on those shots because you guys will. So these restrictions are very purposeful, and they're actually intended that students get what they want, get what they need first, and then can have that rolling enrollment and ensuring that like everyone's kind of falling as they may. Do you have anything to add to that, Matt, or an insight that I may have missed?
No,
Okay.
That's good. Thanks.
I just don't want you folks to think that it's a really negative experience and that like, oh, Guelph's restricted everything and I can't get anything and this is the worst. I think if you go in being like, My mandatory classes will be available for me, a little bit of flexibility in what you think electives might be, and then knowing it's not going to come on the first day. It's going to be some rolling enrollment. I know I just met with, and how attitudes change. I met with a fourth year student this morning, and she's like, well, I got 3 of my classes, but 2 are restricted until July 15th, so I'll wait for those. And eventually you'll kind of find the flow of things. And I think managing expectations can really help. Do the next slide.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt and Sarah. So now I'm going to welcome Jen on the screen to talk about course selection for our transfer students.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Hi, folks. I think I'm frozen. Oh, I think I'm good now. Hello, everyone. My name's Jen. I'm coordinator of transfer student programs here. And I'm here just to talk a little bit about how course selection can look just a little bit different for transfer students, but that most of what we've gone over is still relevant to you as well, such as the student planning tool and looking at things on the undergraduate calendar. The one main difference that can make it feel a lot more complicated is your transfer credits, so we'll chat a little bit about that. So before I get into things, I want to say that we highly recommend that transfer students book an appointment with a program counselor for their degree program as soon as they're able to once you're admitted, since program counselors do have that expert knowledge in not only the program that you're going into, but how your unique transfer credits from all of the prior learning that you've done at another college or university or Indigenous institute, how they apply to your new degree program as well. The information we have here can be a really useful jumping off point and can be super duper helpful in answering some of those initial questions, but it shouldn't replace anything that a program counselor or a faculty advisor would recommend. So yeah, a little bit about transfer credits. These are, and I want to specify in saying that transfer credits pertain to students who have attended post-secondary and you're arriving from another college or university or Indigenous institute. These aren't IB credits, so those are a different thing. So for transfer credits from transferring between post-secondary schools, these are unique to you based on the courses that you have taken at a previous post-secondary school and the prior learning that you've done. If a course that you've taken is similar to a course that we offer at Guelph, it's called a specified credit, and they're considered to be an already completed course, and that will show up in the student planning tool. So this means that if you're looking in the student planning tool that we've introduced through our wonderful helpful video, if it says that you need a 1000 level course, but it may then check off a box and say that you've done it, it could be because a transfer credit has already met that prerequisite. If a course that you've already taken isn't similar to a course offered at Guelph, it's called a generic credit, and they typically count as electives. All of this, if you're not sure of which is generic or which is specific, can be confirmed by a program counselor, and they really do have the expert knowledge in these areas. So if you're ever not sure, they are a really good person to ask. All of your credits are assigned a weight, as Matt mentioned earlier, typically 0.5. Sometimes you'll see 0.25 or 1. But generally we'll see 0.5, and when everything's added together, we see the total number of completed credits. And you may be wondering why I'm explaining some basic math. It's actually because the total number of completed credits help inform which day or course selection window you select your courses on. So if your total number of transfer credits is above, I believe it's 2.5 or 2.75. I need to check the course selection windows page again. You select a little bit sooner than folks that are entering right out of high school who may have 0 completed or in progress, or may have a couple IB credits. If you're not sure of what the total weight of your transfer credits are, you can visit the student planning tool in WebAdvisor once again and double check in there, or run what's called the unofficial transcript in WebAdvisor too. We do offer a step-by-step guide to course selection for transfer students on our Start U of G webpage if you want to refer back to some of this information a little bit later. And we'll have everything available there for you. And if there are any further questions about transfer student course selection, we have contact information on our page as well about how to get in touch with me or somebody else that might be able to give you a hand. And now I'm going to pass it off to our next slide.
All right, and next we have C, who's going to talk about course selection for international students.
Thank you, Jenny. Hello, everybody. My name is C. I am the advisor from the Global Pre-Arrival Support Team. For the registration as international students, I like to just give a reminder. Everything else should be the same as all other students, for undergrad students and also for transfer students. The number of credits and all the requirements to meeting academic requirement will remain the same. The only thing I like to remind all the students is when it comes down to registering part-time or full-time, as Matt just mentioned, there is a minimum requirement for the number of credit hours per term to be considered as a full-time student. If you ever drop out of that full-time status, that your student status may be impacted and you will not be able to work on or off campus on a part-time status. And also that's going to impact your post-graduation work permit eligibilities if you're looking to obtain a 3 years, up to 3 years post-graduation work permit after you start, after you finish your program. Of course, there's always fine print here and there. So if you found that you have any questions about whether I have a chance to do a part-time course, or if there's any reason that you want to drop to a part-time course low, please reach out to me. I can help you to better understand the immigration impact on registering on a part-time basis. And the barcode showing on the slide is the barcode take you directed to my booking link. If you are unable to find any availabilities within the following week, you are more than welcome to email me as well. I do offer drop-in sessions each week if my booking gets too full. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so much, C. And now we're going to talk about some dates and deadlines. So there's a few important dates and deadlines for you folks to keep in mind when you're thinking about course selection. So like we've mentioned multiple times, course selection does go based on program. So for new students with 0 credits on admission, your course selection date will be July 3rd, July 4th, or July 5th, depending on your program. So please check your course selection window times to confirm your program. There is a question in the chat about do students who are selecting who are in upper year have access to courses earlier. So the way we do it here at the University of Guelph is upper year students do select courses earlier. So you'll notice, in your second year or third year, depending on your amount of credits, you'll select courses earlier. But like Matt and Sarah have both mentioned, we do restrict the courses for first year students mostly until the first year course selection windows open. That way, third and fourth year students aren't taking spots away from upper year students. In mid-July, you folks will see your semester bill. That will be posted on WebAdvisor. This will include tuition payments, any fees, pieces like that. On August 9th, domestic undergraduate students must pay a registration deposit of $200. This will be sent, more information about this will be sent to your university email. And we are running a financial session for Start U of G in July. So you'll be able to check that out there. And then your fall tuition will be paid needs to be paid by September 13th. So at the University of Guelph, we kind of do course selection in 2 chunks. So in July, you will be doing course selection for your fall semester classes only, and your tuition payments and your bill payments are due on September 13th for the fall. In around November, you will get communication about selecting courses for the winter, and you will also have a winter semester payment deadline. It is really important to also know, like, these are the deadlines, but if you are using different methods of payment, it can take a while for those payment methods to process. So it's always good to ensure you can pay a few days before the actual deadline to make sure things go through. But again, if you have more questions about this, you can reach out to start@uofguelph.ca, attend our financial Start U of G session, and also check your emails for your weekly start emails as well. So now I'm going to invite Matt and Sarah on the screen, and we're going to talk about a few of the frequently asked questions that we do get from students. And then we'll also answer some of the questions from the chat. Please know that there's lots of questions coming through, which is super lovely, and we're doing our best to get to all of them. But if you do not, if you have a question that's really specific to your situation, please email start@uofguelph.ca, and we'll put that email in the chat for you folks. So you have that. So let's go through some frequently asked questions. So Matt and Sarah, this is your time to shine. So a question, how many credits should a student take a semester?
I can answer that. A standard
Sure.
full-time's 2.5 in the fall and 2.5 in the winter. That's at the very standard. If you never do summer courses and if you finish in 4 years, you 2.5 in the fall, 2.5 in the winter for all 4 years. Of course, students deviate from this and go part-time or drop a course and take a summer course, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you need 20 credits for a majority of our degree programs. It'd be 2.5 in the fall, 2.5 in the winter, all the way through.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. Okay, another question, and we're seeing a lot of questions about this in the
I
chat.
see that.
How do I know what electives to take? And also, some folks are still questioning about what restricted electives are.
I know. I keep, and I think I've linked it a few times. One thing to stress off your shoulders is electives are the least of your this should be fun. You should be like looking, taking things that interest you. Definitely don't have too much stress about your electives. But I just looked in a couple different academic calendars, and the ones that I've seen, I know I linked someone food science a second ago, actually lists the restrictive electives on the page. So again, I know I'm a broken record on this, but look things up in the academic calendar. A lot of your questions will be answered there in terms of what electives are. And then I also, not so much on the elective path answer, but I want to reiterate, when I say that you may not get into all your classes on day 1, I don't want you to think that you don't need to pick a different section. You don't need to pick a different elective. Like, if it's an elective, I recommend finding something else and picking that. Have lots of flexibility in your expectations for electives. If it's a mandatory course, it might not be the course that's 2:30 to 3:50 on Mondays and Wednesdays. You might need to have flexibility there. So don't just sit there and think, oh, they'll add more seats. If there's open sections, you need to get into those sections. So you're not necessarily just being like, well, that's the one I chose, I'm waiting for them to add seats. That may not happen that way, just to clarify. But electives, I saw someone asked to getting guidance for electives. If you were to talk to anyone about that, I think Matt can reiterate this, it'd be a program counselor, but just sharing, like, I know that's like, I always feel like it's funny when students ask me which elective they should take, because I'm like, you should take Women's Studies 1000 is not offered this semester, but I'll use it as an example. You should take that class. And they're like, oh, I don't like that class. I'm like, oh, well, then you should take geography. Like, oh, I don't like geography. Like, it's like really hard for a program counselor to like pick an elective for you, because there is so much choice and it is so personal. And what I might think is a great class or an easy class because I enjoy that topic, you might not. So I really recommend following what you're interested in and doing, like, having confidence in, like, yeah, this is the subject area I want to study. If your calendar says restricted elective list, go into the calendar and see what those classes include, but it's often pretty wide open and no one can tell you what your interests are. I would take a read of those courses.
And Sarah, just to kind of add on to that, there's a really good question. Someone says, I already know that I'm thinking about taking another major. Would it be wise to take a couple of elective classes in the subject area that they're interested in switching to?
I'm just answering that right now, Jenny.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, so basically, if you know almost entirely you think you're going to want to change your major, and if you can get into some of those other courses, because courses will be restricted to students that need them for certain areas, but if you do have access to get into those other areas, absolutely. If you can stay kind of on track with both things, if you're not sure, and you can take a course from that other major as an elective, or maybe that's going to become your core courses. We refer to it a lot of times as shadowing that other major. Then absolutely, if that works to do it. Just note that, for example, if you were in psychology and you wanted to shadow creative writing, you may not have first access to those creative writing courses because they're going to be currently restricted to students in creative writing. So that's when I say if you can get in, I just mean at first. So once some of the restrictions come off in July, after July 15th or so, or into mid-July, then if there's still space, students will have more access to maybe courses outside of those specific areas.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt and Sarah. Our next kind of frequently asked question, and we've talked about this quite a bit, but what happens if a required course is showing as full?
If a required course is showing as full, like I'll give an example. You're in intro biomedical science and Chem 1040 is full. They're going to do their best to help you find a seat. I would say with confidence that in BSc students in first year will get intro into their, again, chem, bio, physics, math combination. So I would be patient. If it happens first thing in the morning, I would give it a few hours and wait and see what happens, because as we said, they're always adding seats and kind of getting a pulse for things. I also would say I think Chem 1040 is 40 sections of it. If your section is full, sign up for a different section. If it's a course that only offers one section, like say Creative Writing 1000, I'm not sure how many they're offering this semester, but that wouldn't be, they're not going to offer as much as Chem 1040 would. And you're in creative writing, I would email the professor or the faculty advisor to inquire about that if you're feeling that you need an answer right away. But I would say if you're in a subject area and it's required, they'll do their best to make space for you, but it doesn't hurt to reach out. What do you think, Matt? Yeah. I would be careful. Yeah, and I would be careful of, this is the thing that everyone has a different definition of required. When I say required, it's listed and you have to check that class. If they say it's a restricted elective and you can pick from one of 10 classes and the class is full, we'll often have students reach out to us and be like, but it's required as a restricted elective. The whole point of the restricted elective is that it's not required. You can pick any of those 10 classes. So knowing that your required classes will be majorly prioritized, anytime you're picking from a list, you may have to have some flexibility.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And also just kind of reiterating what folks are saying, if a course that you need to take in the 1000 level is full as of right now, it will open up more seats when the first year time course selection windows do open.
Yes, if they're saying that they're full now, sorry. I also just wanted to share that there is something called a course waiver request if a student's requesting to be waived into a class that's full or restricted. I just shared that link if someone wants to share it in the page that can be published. If you want to fill that out and then email it to your professor, they may be able to help you with that. I can speak on behalf of my office, but I know every office is different. The Bachelor of Arts and Sciences program counseling office, we won't waive you into anything full or restricted. We would ask the professor to do it, but BSC's office does do some extra waivers. So it will depend on what area you're in. But if you're not sure who to email, your program counselor is a great place to start. And we're kind of liaisons to connect you with the right person if you need that. But again, just because it encourages mass volume, if it's not a truly required course, I wouldn't reach out to anyone. in the first couple of days, just because, again, the volume's huge. You won't hear immediately. And if it's an elective, they're going to tell you to wait and keep looking.
Thank you so much. Our next question, why is a course labeled as restricted?
Yeah, so I kind of shared that. It's the same thing. It's like we want all the BCom students in BCom classes before anyone's taking them as electives. We want all the students in science-based classes before anyone's taking them as electives. So it gives all the proper students access to their courses, and then it opens them for minors, and then it opens them for true electives. And it's just a way to make sure that everyone gets what they need.
Amazing. Thanks, Sarah. So that is all for us for the session. You folks asked a lot of wonderful questions, and we will continue kind of answering them in the chat. That being said, if you do have any questions, you can email start@uofguelph.ca, and I will put that in there. And we would be happy either to connect you with the appropriate resource on campus, or also answer some questions. Truly, no question is a silly question. The start email gets a lot of questions about course selection, or we also get questions about, where's the best coffee on campus? But I'm sure here, Sarah, I'll bring you back and you can chat about kind of the questions that you get from course selection.
Yeah. So again, I don't want it to sound negative, like you're gonna get what you need. And it's like really managing expectations in terms of like which electives are, but most students will get something that they're excited about. But it might be like, okay, I'm interested in the social sciences as my elective, so I'm okay with Psych 1000, Social 1500, Social 1100, or AMP 1150. You're going to get one of those. But if you really narrow in on like the only elective I'm happy with is one specific course, it might be disappointing. But then just keep in mind that you can take it next semester. So not everything has to happen like right in the fall semester. So that's one thing. I think that the if you can take the weight off your shoulders and like it's all gonna like land as needed, I think that can really help with the experience. But I would say the most common questions we get in during course selection is students never having looked at their academic calendar. And again, that's not a judgment piece. By second, third, fourth year, people know what they are. But a lot of high school students will email like, hi, how do I pick my classes? Or like literally have no clue which classes are required. So a student just asked as an example, which I think is a great question, is when I look in the courses, it isn't showing criminal justice public policy. And that's an interesting thing. There are no courses coded as CJPP. CJPP uses courses from Phil, philosophy, polls, political science, STOSH. So they have a whole whack of different courses they use. In the academic calendar, it'll tell you exactly which ones. So that's where looking in the academic calendar can be super helpful. And if you haven't looked at your majors page in the academic calendar, that's like probably the best place to start with any course selection questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. And I think your concept of like, we understand this is stressful. This is the first time all of you folks are selecting courses at the University of Guelph. But you will get used to it. And once you do it in the fall, you'll learn, and then you'll be able to implement that learning for selecting courses for the winter. And the same as you move up. But there are those resources that we chatted about today that are there to support you in selecting your courses.
Yeah.
And like Sarah said, even quickly doing some quick Google searches like course selection or undergraduate calendar, CJPP, Guelph, those can also help you as well. This session also will be recorded and posted on startufg.ca. So if you folks want to watch it back and hear some of those answers to the questions, you are more than welcome to do that. And it can help you as well. And like I said, if you have specific questions about like either your degree, it can be about course selection, it can really be about anything about the first year or new student experience, please send us an email and we're happy to help. And also check out all of our other course Start UFG sessions that we offer that cover a variety of topics. But that's all the time we have for today. So thank you folks for spending a bit of your evening or wherever you are, spending a bit of your time with us today. And we look forward to welcoming you all in the fall. Thanks, everyone.